a conductive wire, and you were so electric. I had no say when you came so near. And just passed right.
Hey everyone, welcome to the first bonus episode of Welcome to Geekdom. I wanted to use these bonus episodes as a way to talk about a few things that I have found interesting throughout the week and to keep you all up to date on what it is that I am reading, watching, and everything like that, because I know not everyone follows me on Twitter and I don't always necessarily remember to post what I am doing. So the first item on our list today is the news about The Haunting, which is the first season of The Haunting of Hill House. And the second season is going to be The Haunting of Bly Manor, which is based on a book by Henry James called The Turn of the Screw. I have not read this book, but I do have it sitting on my shelf, so you can bet I'll be reading that before this season comes out, which is exactly what I did with The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. I quickly read through the book since it was a short read before the season aired on Netflix, and I'm pretty excited that this is going to be an anthology series. I think that's a format that works really, really well with the horror genre. And there aren't too many details just yet, but it's a psychological gothic horror novella that it's based off of. So I am definitely going to be interested in seeing how that plays out. And the book is pretty old, just like The Haunting of Hill House is. So you have these things that are coming together, and this season won't debut until 2020. So if anyone else is interested in checking out the novella, there's plenty of time to do that. The second item I want to discuss is the casting of Superboy on Titans. This is a show on DC Universe that surprised me, and I think a lot of other people, more than we were expecting it to. It was actually pretty good. You know, the trailer didn't look all that great, but I ended up giving it a shot anyway because I signed up for the service in order to watch Young Justice Outsiders. That's something I was totally excited for and really wanted to watch. So I signed up a little before Young Justice aired just so I could get through Titans as well. And I wouldn't say blown away, but I was pleasantly surprised with how much I enjoyed the show. It sort of had this dark, gritty tone, but it wasn't too overdone. It was a little along the lines of the Marvel shows on Netflix, but with Superboy, you know, him and Superman are sort of these characters that have a little more hope in them than the Bat family. So I think that'll bring an interesting dynamic to the show. And Joshua Orpin is the one who was cast in the role as Connor Kent. I don't know anything about the actor, but I didn't really know too much about most of the actors in Titans, so I'm not going to let that sway my opinion of the show by any means. And Superboy is also in Young Justice Outsiders, so we already have this iteration of a lot of these characters that we're seeing in that show, and then they're being brought to live action. So it'll be interesting to see how the graphics factor into that as well, because sometimes TV shows don't necessarily have the same kind of budget as movies do. So the CGI can be a little iffy here and there. You know, in the first season of Titans, they used Beast Boy a little sparingly, and I think that was because of all of the CGI that has to go into his character. The third item is the fact that Marvel is going to create episodic superhero stories through a digital book startup called Serial Box. I had recently checked out this app because they basically give you digital books chapter by chapter, and it's very serialized. It's something that used to be pretty popular, actually. The Green Mile by Stephen King was initially released as 6 serialized books. So you got the book in, you know, these 80 to 90 page increments, and then you had to wait until all 6 were out to get the full story. And with comics the way they are now, you get 1 issue a month or 2 issues a month. And sometimes you aren't so fond of that wait, but it's something that the comics industry has been doing for many, many years now. So people are used to it. And I think it'll be interesting to see how this ends up playing out, because I've noticed that Marvel is getting into more and more book adaptations as well. I've seen some YA novels pop up for Marvel. We've seen more than plenty pop up for Star Wars. And it's always interesting to see how these big companies are looking to branch out and get into these other forms of media. And Marvel has been doing a decent job with this. They dived into podcasts with Wolverine the Long Night, which I enjoyed, and they have a second season for that coming this year. Again, it'll be on Stitcher first and then available to everyone else later in the year. But Cereal Box is an interesting concept, and I think this partnership will be good for both Cereal Box and Marvel. It'll allow them to experiment with different kinds of stories. And that's something we don't have too many details on, but Cereal Box will typically have the first chapter for free, and then they call them episodes, and each episode after that is $1.99 each, unless you want to get a season pass for $13.99. So you have a bunch of stories that are already on there, and if this sounds at all interesting to you, I would definitely recommend checking out the app first and then seeing if it's something you would want to dive into specifically for Marvel stuff or for what they already have on there. That wraps up our top 3 things of the week. And as far as what I am reading and watching and everything like that, I am diving into The Talisman by Stephen King for my other podcast, Chat Cemetery. And I'm guessing a lot of these updates will be about me reading some Stephen King book or another throughout the year, because that is something that is just going to take up a lot of my reading time that I have. And as far as what I've been watching, I decided to dive back into Batman the Brave and the Bold on DC Universe while I sort of wait in between Doom Patrol episodes, which is a show that I'm actually really enjoying as well. So DC Universe is actually doing pretty well, in my opinion. I still haven't done a deep dive into the comics that they offer on the service, because I, again, am reading The Talisman by Stephen King, which is close to 800 pages, so it'll take me a while to get through that. But anyway, I hope you all enjoy these little bonus episodes. I'll be experimenting with them a little for the first few, probably, and just seeing what you guys are enjoying. If you have any feedback, feel free to hit me up on Twitter at GeekdomPod. Welcome to Geekdom on Instagram. You can reach me on both social platforms pretty easily. And as always, thank you all for listening, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.